Aren't you a little short for a stormtrooper?
What's up, nerds? Welcome to another episode of the Multiverse Report. Tonight we are recapping the week's nerdy news, or I guess in this case, it's like the last 5 days because we did our episode on Tuesday or whatever.
Yeah.
So
we're back quick
not
for you.
Not a full week's of nerdy news, but anyway, we're recapping it from Danny the Street to the Daily Bugle and everywhere in between. My name is Mike Gibson. With me as always is Steve Haller. What's up, Steve?
Oh, Danny the Street. Can't beat it.
You can't. You really can't.
It's one of the craziest things in the world that may or may not be in the world, that isn't in the world, but might be. But it's I miss Doom Patrol.
I miss Doom Patrol as well, and some good news for those of us who miss Doom Patrol coming up in a minute here. First of all, we are talking about Doom Patrol, even though we touched on it last week. We're going to give you a little more specificity. This week, we're talking about the strike, of course. We're talking about another very tiny DC thing, another Star Wars thing that almost happened, that didn't happen, which is just so cool. It's worth reporting. Some comics news, some comics reviews. Oh my God, I didn't do the what's coming out this week in your local comic book store. I forgot that part. I'm just realizing that I'm scrolling down and that part's completely blank. Well, I'll do that on the fly, I guess.
There we go.
Look at me being super professional. I thought me thinking I was done. Anyway, I know. I say this a lot, and I have said it a lot recently, but I really mean it this time. This is a very light week for news. Very, very light.
But
this might be a short episode.
We are going to lead with some news that hopefully will make subsequent weeks slightly longer.
True. As we reported last episode, the WGA was poised to resume negotiations with the AMPTP. That's the Writers Guild, sitting down with major Hollywood studios, and that has happened. They've been in negotiations since Wednesday. I believe the idea was to go for 4 days, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, taking today off, and either continue negotiations on Monday or announce the results on Monday. So I'm sure we will hear something one or the other ways tomorrow. But any kind of inside scoop or report or hint or anything that I've read seems to be thinking that this might be the end of the writers' strike. This might actually be, something good might come out of this. Studios have described this negotiation as them offering their best and final offer. That is a quote. Our best and final offer, which
it's always the best and final offer until they don't come to an agreement, and then hey, we got a better and more final offer. Sweet.
Yeah. So you're saying that if the WGA refuses this best and final offer, you're just all going to retire from making movies and television shows? Is that's the plan?
Nobody's making them anymore. Sorry.
Well, that was our final offer, so I guess this whole industry is over. No, you're not. You will make a better and less final offer the next time if these aren't up to snuff.
Warner Brothers is done, and A24 is now the premier studio in Hollywood. I mean,
hey man, the way Warner Brothers is being piloted recently, and you know what? The way that people have not shown up at the box office this past summer for what should have been a lot of like surefire blockbuster hits. Big studios might be like not on the way out, but it might be time to pivot. Because if people are sick of the MCU and people are sick of the DCU and people are sick of anything, Mission Impossible, like all these movies underperform. So like, I'm just going off what you said about A24. Like A24 may end up being the next power player in Hollywood if they're the only ones that are making money off their movies. So anyway, of course it's not their final offer. Of course, if the WGA rejects this offer, they will be forced to come up with a better offer. Because there's just no other way, nothing else they can do. So I think that's just a little intimidation tactic by the studios, one of many that they've thrown at the WGA and the Screen Actors Guild over the last few months. like almost 150 days the writers have been on strike. 145, 147 days, something like that. Crazy amount of time. So,
So
um,
I'm already into our first pivot
okay.
because that made me think of worldwide box office for the year 2023.
Okay.
So number one, I believe is a small property you may have heard of in the past, 1950s era.
Barbie.
Mm-hmm. They knocked it out of the park, which is, as weird as it sounds, a feather in Warner Brothers cap because
for sure.
they own it.
Yeah.
Next up, I did not realize grossed as well as it did. Super Mario Brothers.
Oh yeah, Super Mario Brothers was the one to beat.
Yeah.
Until Barbie came along.
I for some reason did not that didn't process for me.
Yeah.
So like you've got Warner Brothers, and then you've got Universal for the next two with Super Mario Brothers and Oppenheimer. So your first three.
Wow, Oppenheimer's number 3.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oppenheimer beat out Guardians 3.
Wow.
And Fast 10X, whatever.
Guardians 3 was number 4?
Guardians 3 is 4, Fast X, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse.
Okay.
This is global too, so
yeah. Okay.
And I'm only going to go through the English language just so I don't butcher any names of various properties.
Yeah, you don't want to pull a me and mispronounce people's names.
Oh, these would be well beyond anything you've done. Like I just
okay.
Yeah, I physically can't read them in the list that I'm looking at. So, Little Mermaid.
Well,
would
what
be
you
at 9.
what you gotta Steve, what you gotta admire about me is that I'll see a name that I have no idea what I'm gonna do with it, and I just dive right in and I go
these
for
are
it anyway.
these are characters. Like I just don't know how to pronounce signs and stuff.
I don't think that would stop me.
Just give it a go. Whole hug into it. Little Mermaid at number 9. Mission Impossible at 10.
Okay. All right.
Elemental at 13, which we just watched that. I just saw that tonight for the first time. That was a great movie.
It's pretty good, right? Yeah, I liked it a lot.
Pleasantly surprised with it. Ant-Man, Transformers, John Wick, Meg 2, The Trench, beat out Dial of Destiny.
Whoa, boy. That's a bummer.
And then Creed 3.
That is such a bummer.
Creed 3 at 21, The Flash at 22, Sound of Freedom, Dungeons & Dragons, Honor Among Thieves. And then we're into like The Nun 2 and Insidious the Red Door.
Well, Nun 2 just came out. So the fact that it's that high already, like Nun 2 came out this past weekend, I think.
Did it? Jesus.
Yeah. Like it just came out. So I think it's doing all right for itself.
Yeah. And that beat Ninja Turtles at 30. And then Scream 6 at 31.
I just watched
Evil
Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem again with my son this past weekend. It is so good.
Yeah.
So good.
Shazam is down there. Blue Beetle is like 38.
Sure, yeah.
Like how do you see this, for one, how do you see this list and not think to pivot off of, like, look at your top 3 properties?
I know, for sure. And even the ones that are lower than that, like you mentioned, like Guardians did very well, obviously.
Right.
It's number 4.
It was also a good movie.
It was also very good, exactly. Right. And it's like the end of a thing, you know? It's the final chapter in a trilogy, so it's going to bring people in.
Right.
And like Fast X, sure, and it was good. And Fast X, that's the 10th one of a franchise, so sure. Mission Impossible's in the top 10. You might say, well, it's fine. I feel like all of these movies were projected to do better than they did. Were projected to make more money.
Higher.
With the exception of those top 3, I think. I don't think anyone I think people expected Barbie to do well. I don't think anyone expected to do over $1 billion.
And like $1.5 billion. It's like 1.4 right now.
Yeah. And Mario, like, that was going to do good because it was like the only kids movie that was released for like months.
Right.
and it was the first animated Mario movie, so that was a big deal too. Oppenheimer, the whole Barbenheimer phenomenon clearly helped it out. I guarantee you there was people that would not have seen that movie without the help of the Barbenheimer meme. But look at those top 3 movies. Sure, 2 of them are wildly popular intellectual property, but there's never been a Barbie movie before. There's never been an animated Mario Brothers movie before. Like, so these are like new things. They're still new franchises.
Yeah.
And they're not even franchises yet. Like they've announced a sequel to Mario Brothers, I think, but There's no planned sequel for Barbie, and there may never be one. We're just gonna get all these shitty toy spin-off movies or whatever.
Right.
So that is a signal that like it's the top 3 not superhero movies,
Right.
not long-running franchise movies, just original films. Again, yeah, based on 2 of them are based on existing intellectual property, but it's still a new, fresh thing, and especially Barbie is a wild take on a thing that's been around since the 1950s, like you said. Like it's not a straight up with like how many people heard, oh, they're making a Barbie movie that's going to be stupid, you know?
Mm-hmm.
It ended up being, oh, this is a wild left turn of a thing that I did not expect at all, and it's great.
Right. Subversion of expectations, but not in a shitty way.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
But then you
so
look
I think
farther down the list, and you have like Dial of Destiny made 381. Like that's barely above water.
Yeah.
I mean, Creed 3, The Flash, like Flash at 267 is below water. That's drowning.
Yeah. Flash is a huge bomb. Dial of Destiny was a huge bomb too.
But like then you have Dungeons and Dragons, same kind of concept, existing IP, but never really done it right. And I think it was the production budget was only like 150, and they made like 3 and change, I think.
Oh yeah, it was a very profitable film, and like because that had great word of mouth. People were like, "You got to see this; it's great." Like you can't believe it, but it's really good. I know it doesn't look good, but it's great, and it was really good. So yeah, I don't know. The Dial of Destiny is a real bummer because I like that movie a lot, but I don't understand why that movie cost $300 million to make. Like, it does not. No offense, it doesn't look like a $300 million movie. It doesn't. It's I thought it was fun. I thought it was good, and I liked it. But I don't know, man. I don't know. I know we've talked before about. I don't think studios should be spending this much money on any movie.
No, not at all.
But I don't know. Maybe they're learning their lesson. We'll see.
I mean, then you have like Haunted Mansion that somehow was 160 million that made 107.
Yeah, that was a bomb too.
Yeah.
That's what was like one of the first movies that came out during the strike, I think. So like no one could promote it.
Right.
And it's not like you're a lot of times people will critique like, well, yeah, why'd you release a horror movie in the summertime? Like no one's going to go see it. Well, people go to see horror movies all the time. It's not, they don't have to come out in October, but a movie like Haunted Mansion, which is more for kids and it's less for adults, like kids are into the spooky time. I feel like Haunted Mansion would have done better if it came out this weekend or first weekend in October. Like it would have done a lot better because the way less competition. Like this was a packed summer.
Yep.
So I don't think Haunted Mansion ever really stood a chance. But
hey, whatever. Here we are.
Here we are. And you know what, Steve? That was a good tangent. Good time filling pivot point. So great job. Summer movie recap that we hadn't done. Now that we're in, a month deep into fall.
Right.
But hey.
Yeah, I don't know. It's the summer movies. The blockbuster season just wasn't full of blockbusters. Or it was full of attempted blockbusters.
It was attempted blockbusters, yeah.
Miserably.
Only a few of them.
Right.
Only a few of them hit. I don't know. I had a good time. I went to more movies this summer than I've been to in a really long time. And I had a great time at 98% of them. I
think I took my son to like 4 movies. And they were all movies I wanted to see.
Yeah, I took Sam to a bunch of movies this Mario Brothers,
Turtles,
Return of the Jedi,
Ninja
Turtles.
Jedi, yep.
We saw Elemental together, and there's definitely one other one. And he wants to go see the fucking Paw Patrol movie coming out this weekend. It's not going to be a fun time for theater.
Mine does too. And
oh, great.
Yeah.
Should we bite this bullet together?
Should we be miserable together?
Let's do an out of theater reaction to Paw Patrol, whatever the
whatever horribleness it'll end up being. Yeah.
Yeah.
As much as I've tried to dissuade Paw Patrol over the years, it just keeps coming back to it.
Well, that's the thing. My son hasn't watched Paw Patrol in 2 years.
Same.
But he sees the movie and he's like, I got to go see that movie. I got to go see the Paw Patrol. They're like, no, you don't. No, you don't. You don't like this show. Right. You haven't watched it in forever.
Whatever.
I think the last Paw Patrol thing he saw was when I took him to see the first Paw Patrol movie. I don't know that he maybe watched a couple episodes since then, but
today I learned there was over a year Paw Patrol movie.
There's a what?
I did not know there was another Paw Patrol movie.
Oh yeah, this is the sequel. This is the sequel to the Paw Patrol, the first Paw Patrol.
Cool.
Yeah. Anyway, more on that when you get our instant reaction to Paw Patrol Back at You. I don't know what the subtitle is. It's
I don't
something
know.
stupid. They're like they get like superpowers or something. It's
I was gonna say that would be
seems
like a
dumb.
Patreon bonus episode, but that would be the opposite of a Patreon bonus episode.
A
If you don't
Patreon
subscribe, we're putting
punishment
that
episode.
out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, if you don't subscribe to us on Patreon, we will force you to listen to us talk about the Paw Patrol movie. That's funny.
Yep. Well,
Something
hey,
I will.
another place they're gonna film bad sequels.
Wait, what?
Is that what we're talking about next?
No, we haven't done the first DC story yet.
We haven't. Wow.
No,
We haven't even got into our rundown.
I know. I'm saying it was a great tangent. We talked for a long time. We're filling time here.
There you go.
As we mentioned, the end of last week's podcast, it wasn't even really on the rundown. It just kind of came out as we were wrapping up. They finally announced that Doom Patrol is returning to HBO Max. Sorry, just Max. Is impossible for me to just call it Max. I feel like I sound stupid just saying Max because it's a name and it's a word, and to me it's meaningless without putting HBO in front of it.
Yeah,
So
I feel like I'm
I just
referring
can't
to our
say
friend
Max.
Son. Like,
Yes, yeah, exactly. Anyway, the first half of the fourth and final season of Doom Patrol came out in January of 2023, a very long time ago. And it's been so long that most people, or a lot of fans, were starting to think that we weren't going to see it. You know, or Warner Brothers has canceled tons of stuff and pulled tons of stuff from their streaming services over the year. So, but James Gunn ended up answering somebody on some social media site saying, nope, it's going to happen. Just haven't found the date yet. I promise. I just found out. I guarantee it. It's going to happen. So we found out it was going to come out in October. And now we know specifically the show's fourth season will conclude with episodes beginning on October 12th. So a couple weeks away from the final few episodes of Doom Patrol, which, in my opinion, one of the greatest comic book adaptations ever. It's great.
Yeah.
One of my favorite adaptations of a comic book to television show, I would say, for sure.
Nice.
Description of the final half of the series is as follows. In the series' gripping final episodes, the Doom Patrol meet old friends and foes as they race to defeat Immortus and get back their longevities. Battling between saving the world and each other, the Doom Patrol are forced to face their deepest fears and decide if they are ready to let go of the past in order to take their future into their own hands and away from the zombie butts. If you're a watcher of Doom Patrol, you know what that last sentence means. Zombie butts. Hey, if you're not a watcher of Doom Patrol and you don't know what that means, don't think too hard about it. That's it. It's zombie butts.
Yeah.
Not the butts of zombies. Sorry. I should specify. Maybe it's not what you think it is. It's weirder than what you think it is. You think it's like a bunch of zombies were walking around and maybe like their butts fell off or something. No, it is sentient butts.
Yeah, reanimated asses
that died and have been reanimated. And now they're zombie sentient butts.
Mm-hmm.
So, that's a real thing that happens in this show.
And if you were wondering about Doom Patrol, that's all you need to know. Like if
the thing I just said to you is that sounds insane and something I never want to see ever, then you should never watch single episode of Doom Patrol because it's all crazy shit like that.
Oh God,
if what I said to you was like, I can't. Yeah, if you heard me say that and you said, I can't believe that that's possible, he must be lying to me, then you should watch every episode of Doom Patrol starting immediately. And because you'll love it. Because I swear to you, it's true. It's true. I wouldn't lie to you.
It's true. All of it. Today I learned that that DC also had an Immortus. Did not know that.
Yep. Almost specific. I believe Immortus is specifically a Doom Patrol villain.
Yeah.
He's not a larger Justice League villain or anything like that. It's specific to the Doom Patrol.
Nice.
So, I guess right now I learned that Marvel has an Immortus. I don't think I am aware of Marvel's Immortus.
He's one of the Kangs.
Oh, okay, one of the Kangs. Yeah. Okay, I gotcha.
Yep. Yeah, the Council of Kangs was like Immortus and Ramatut and a bunch of various.
Oh, okay.
Nathaniel Richards is
All right. Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Steve, you're not current on Doom Patrol, right? You started
I
watching it,
am
but you're
not. I
not
think I'm like
all
a
the way through.
season behind, maybe.
Yeah. It's really a great show. I think all the acting is great. It was the beginning of the return of Brendan Fraser
Yes.
to
Absolutely
acting.
amazing return of Brendan Fraser.
Amazing voice work, and every once in a while he shows up in the flesh, and he's great there as well. Man, it's just a super weird show. Sometimes it's like, I don't know of another show that balances such absurdity and insanity, but at the same time can turn around and just either like punch you in the gut,
Yeah.
or have these like crazy emotional scenes between the characters that are just heart-wrenching and beautiful, or both at the same time. And it's just, and all the while being so faithful and respectful to the comic book source material in a way that would seem impossible, because as you could probably guess, the comic book source material is equally or more insane.
Mhm.
And I would, if before this show, I would have thought that a comic book accurate adaptation of Doom Patrol was impossible. But you get the right people behind the camera and in front of the camera, and clearly anything is possible, because these guys did it and they deserve to be applauded. And I hope, I can't believe that this version of the Doom Patrol we'll ever see again, but I hope that there is some version of the Doom Patrol that will show up in James Gunn's DCU, because I love these characters. I love them in the show. I love them in the books. And I would love to see either a movie or just like a cameo or something for like the Doom Patrol in the James Gunn, Peter Safran DCU moving forward.
And
So
it's
we'll
a
see.
very Gunn cast of characters too. So
Yo, man. Yeah. I feel like if they didn't already have this show going when he came over from Marvel, I feel like he could have done a banger Doom Patrol movie instead of the Suicide Squad, even though I love the Suicide Squad and I'll take that any day of the week. But Doom Patrol would have been right up his alley. Right up his alley, for sure. Speaking of things that James Gunn getting to play with, DC Studios is getting a new permanent location now that DC Studios is a real thing and not just part of an umbrella of studios under Warner Brothers. DC Studios is its own independent film studio, similar to how Marvel Studios is, yes, owned by Disney, but it's its own independent, facility or studio. DC Studios is now too under James Gunn, which I think will make a big difference. Building its own permanent location in Warner Brothers Studios, Leavesden in the UK. I guess Warner Brothers has a huge studio complex there. DC Studios is getting its own section of that complex. They're expanding the existing lot by 50%, adding 10 additional sound stages for a total of over 400,000 additional square feet. And this will be where all of the new DCU stuff is filmed, starting with Superman Legacy, I guess, unless Waller is going to be filmed there as well. But I don't know. But definitely Superman Legacy, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So if the writers say we wake up tomorrow morning and the writer's strike is over, do we get any other information from James Gunn? I guess we could get information on like script updates, or if someone has been hired to write the Batman Brave and the Bold movie, or someone has been hired to write I'm trying to think of something else, the Authority film or something like that.
Or even
that
stuff
he's
down,
announced.
every once in a while they tease like pieces of script or stuff like that. Like we'll see
Like
more
a
things
title.
like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
But with SAG-AFTRA still on strike, that'll we're not
We
going
won't
to
be getting any
or
actors,
confirmation of actors, or
we won't find out who Giancarlo Esposito is playing or whatever until the SAG-AFTRA strike is over.
But I would assume if the studios, I don't want to say cave, but if the studios cave to WGA, they're probably realizing they're in the hot seat and need to get SAG-AFTRA on as well.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I feel like once the writer's strike, if the writer's strike wraps up soon,
Yep.
then they will be offering similar terms to SAG-AFTRA and
Mhm.
seeing how that goes. But I feel like we could get. Remember when he announced the first part of Chapter 1, Gods and Monsters
Yep.
of his DCU slate. He didn't name any actors or whatever that were going to be starring in those movies. Nothing had been cast, so we could probably get another announcement from James Gunn about okay, well here's the second half of this chapter of Chapter 1, and what's going to be this and this and this and this and this.
Right. I forgot he had said that like most of it wasn't mentioned or whatever.
He
his
said that
exact quote.
the announcement we got was less than half
Yeah.
of Chapter 1.
Mhm.
So exciting.
Which at the same time, I'm pretty sure that quote is no longer accurate after watching what's happened with current superhero movies. Or at least,
what do you mean by that?
I would put a good amount of money on the fact that they would probably tone that down on the number
You think they're
of things
gonna
coming out.
You think they're going to pull stuff back?
I mean, if you just with past being precedent and DC already having a sour taste in people's mouths after whatever these last couple things have been, and it's like, do you really want to throw a bunch of logs on the fire and just watch it burn, or do you want to like I would get like them throwing out a couple of TV series, or especially after you have good things like Peacemaker coming out that are getting people on the TV bandwagon, and then wait for Legacy and throw that out there and then see what happens.
Yeah. I mean, I'm pretty sure the only one that's officially dated is Superman Legacy. Because like we know Creature Commandos is going to be the first thing that we see, but we don't know when. We don't have a date for that.
Right.
We've heard early 2024. And even
before the
Waller
strikes.
might come out before Superman, but we don't have a date. We don't have any information about that at all. So I think with Superman being dated for July 25, and also assuming that's going to be moved because of the strikes, I think they are playing it safe by not announcing dates for everything. Because that's the trouble that Marvel gets into by being like, hey, here's all the things we're going to do in the next 5 years. And then, oh, well, we had to move this around. We have to move this around. We have to move this around. Like, you don't announce a date, you don't have to move it around.
Right. And it worked out okay for like phase 2 when you had a couple of properties and they were spaced out well. And then
now it's too much.
Phase 5 and it's like, this is all coming out by 2027. I meant 7.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And James Gunn has said it a lot of times that they don't want to. He's like the perfect person to do this because he's seen how Marvel does it, right?
Yeah.
And like I'm sure they do a lot of things great, but he also probably has seen like they overwork the VFX departments and all this like announcing stuff, and 3 years ahead of time like is not great. So we'll announce it, but we're not going to date anything. And he's also seen how DC has been like, we're doing this, we're doing this, we're doing this, we're doing this, and here's all the dates, and then we watch those dates fly by and nothing. We never got a Cyborg movie or whatever else.
Yeah. That would have been great.
Yeah, so
Actually,
I think he knows he doesn't want to overextend them. Like he said, like we're not going to overextend ourselves with DC. So I feel like whatever pace he has in mind is probably only going to be benefited by the strike and having to push stuff. Like I said before, the best thing for Superman Legacy is the fact that it comes out 2 years after The Flash came out or whatever. Like people clearly are sick of this version and they need time between this DCEU ending and the new one starting to feel a desire to take another swing at Superman. People liked Henry Cavill. They didn't like the movies that he was. So we need some time to get away from that and to forget about it, to be like, oh, a new Superman movie. And I feel like even now it's probably going to be pushed. I would guess if they're going to push the Superman movie, they're probably going to push it for a year. I feel like they probably want that to be a summer release. So if they push it from 25, it's probably not going to come out till 26.
It's either a Christmas 25 or like, unless they have something else in that slot, like if Warner has something else in that ballpark, then otherwise it'll be like May 26.
Yeah. I mean, it depends on how much they have cast and the script's done.
Yeah.
So I'm sure that he's been in pre-production doing stuff that doesn't involve writers and actors. So like, maybe they don't have to move it, or maybe they don't have to move it as much. Maybe it comes out in August or instead of July or whatever. But
the one thing they don't want is the Spider-Man happening with their movies. The Garfield
Yeah.
Spider-Man particularly. Where
Oh,
it was
yeah,
like
yeah.
coming off Toby, it's like, all right, well, we've got a bad taste in our mouth after 3, and then, oh, hey, look, a brand new one.
But we need to make this so we don't lose the rights. So
Right.
let's force out an Andrew Garfield one. Yeah,
And
exactly.
I mean, that's why that got made, but this almost feels like that same, like, oh, hey, look over here. There's an Aquaman. Here's something new.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Or they also don't want to get into the trouble that that Marvel's had with, we all know like Spider-Man No Way Home was supposed to come out before Doctor Strange and the
Yeah.
Multiverse of Madness. And to the point where I read recently that apparently it was supposed to be what's her face? America's?
Yep,
America
America Chavez.
What's her last name?
America
Chavez. Yeah. It's supposed to be America Chavez that opened the multiverse to find Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield.
Right.
In No Way Home. Which would make way more sense than suddenly Ned figuring out how to use a Doctor Strange sling ring. Like, what? You just, oh yeah, but no, I'm magic. Did I not mention that before? I have magic in my family. Oh, okay, sure, Ned.
Yeah.
Like, that makes that way
Right.
weaker of a connection.
Hobgoblin
And-
totally has magic in his family.
Yeah. And like, if that had, like, they were so banking on the schedule not changing and all, like, then there was nothing they could do. They had to switch things around.
Yep.
Pandemic, things change. Like, nope, we gotta. So they could have pushed off, but they didn't, and they jeopardized and, in my opinion, severely weakened probably both finished products, both of those movies, from what they could have been.
Yeah.
In order to keep this continuity, in order to hit these release dates that they had already set out. And like, I don't know, maybe it's a Disney thing because Marvel has done that before and weakened their product, and Star Wars has done that before and weakened the end of product just to hit a release date. Like, hey, we'll still go. We still like Marvel movies. We still like Star Wars. We'll go. You push it a year, we'll still go when it comes out. We'll still go.
Might even be more likely.
Make
to
it
go.
good. More likely to go if it's good.
Yeah.
If it's good. Because now we're at a point where people are sick of bad Marvel movies and people are mad at Star Wars.
Right.
So what's better in the long run? Disney. Figure it out. What were we talking about? DC Studios getting a new location in the UK? Great. That's something I would not even mentioned in a regular show.
Right.
If there was like actual news. But
Yeah.
we did get to talk about DCU for a while.
You know what's
That's
something
something.
we still would have talked about? The fact that Guillermo del Toro was actually attached to direct a Star Wars movie at one point with a treatment
Dude.
by David Goyer.
David Goyer.
David
Okay.
Goyer of Nick Fury, Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. fame with David Hasselhoff. Or is that not what he's famous for? Oh, right.
It's one thing that he's famous for.
I think that's more infamous for.
Yeah. David Goyer's no stranger to nerddom. Did he write all 3 Blade movies?
He wrote the whole Blade trilogy, the whole Dark Knight trilogy.
I think he co-wrote the last 2, or he was like a
Was it?
story advisor. But he definitely like wrote Batman Begins, and
Yeah.
I think he like maybe co-wrote Dark Knight and
Then
did a story for whatever. He also did a story for, or did he write Man of Steel?
he wrote Man of Steel and
Yeah.
Dawn of Justice, I think, right?
He might have contributed a little bit. I
Yeah.
don't think he was the main writer on Dawn of Justice, because by then Snyder had his claws, and I think he went with
Terrio
his own writer,
and
Terrio.
Goyer.
Yeah.
Yep.
So he's been all over the map. He's a
Oh,
big
he
time
also,
Hollywood writer.
Foundation that apparently is pretty good on Apple TV.
Oh yeah, he wrote that.
Yep.
Oh, cool. Anyway, yeah, David Goyer was giving an interview on the Happy, Sad, Confused podcast, and I believe he was asked if there was like a project something he always wanted to do, or something that he wished would have worked out, or something, question like that. And he said, I wrote an unproduced Star Wars movie that Guillermo del Toro was going to direct. Pausing that quote right there. Guillermo del Toro. The Hellboy movies. An Oscar-winning film called Shape of Water. He's an incredible Pan's Labyrinth. He's an
Pan's
incredible
Labyrinth, yeah.
director. He's an incredible writer. What was that great one? It was nominated for an Oscar. that had Bradley Cooper in it. It was so good. It's recent, a couple years ago. A Carnival.
Nightmare Alley.
Nightmare Alley. Yes, that movie is great.
I
That is
have
a
not seen that
slow
one.
burn of a movie that will just get its claws into you by the end. It is so good.
Nice.
Bradley Cooper is incredible in that movie.
He also did a take on Pinocchio. as a dark fantasy.
And it won Best Animated Feature. The stop motion Pinocchio for Netflix is incredible. I recommend watching anything that Guillermo del Toro has done. I haven't seen everything that he's done, but
I forgot he did
I'm
Pacific
sure
Rim.
he did what?
Pacific Rim.
Yeah, I haven't seen that, but I hear it's really great, and I'm
Yeah,
sure it's great
it's-
because Guillermo del Toro directed it.
Right. It's better. It's way better than it should be, and it's
Right,
a
because of
testament to
him.
Probably, yeah.
Because of him.
Yep.
He also has done stuff for Netflix, like Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, I think was a horror thing that he did recently for Netflix. So like he's a horror guy. He's likes creepy stuff. He's a genius visionary. Like his visuals are incredible. Look at the Hellboy movies alone are just gorgeous looking. Anyway, this guy was going to direct a Star Wars movie? What?
Mm-hmm.
I will continue the quote at this point. That Guillermo del Toro was going to direct. It was about 4 years ago. And I also have an unproduced scriptment, he said. I believe that he means like a treatment, a script treatment, for an Origins of the Jedi movie, also for Star Wars, that I wrote for them, that took place 25,000 years before the first Star Wars film. Pausing the quote here again. That's interesting, because we know they're making that movie. James Mangold's writing that movie.
Right.
And directing it. Weird. So they had okay, I'll go back to that in a second, I guess. David Goyer goes on to say, so I got to do the Vader Immortal thing for the VR, which was but dabbling in Star Wars would have been fun for me. And then the interviewer said, well, what happened to the script with Guillermo del Toro? And he said, there was just a lot of stuff going on at Lucasfilm at the time, but it's a cool script. Have you had Guillermo on? You'll have to ask him about that the next time he's on. It's a cool script. And then, if that wasn't enough, Guillermo del Toro himself retweeted this and said, true, can't say much, maybe 2 letters, J and BB. Is that 3 letters? And that's all his tweet said. So, Steve, a couple things here. Clearly, they've been wanting to make a Dawn of the Jedi movie for a while.
Apparently.
If David Goyer wrote a treatment for it. But my guess is that they didn't like it, or they liked it but didn't want him to write the full thing, so they gave it to James Mangold, or James Mangold was interested in it.
Right.
So, I mean, I guess we'll see if David Goyer gets a writing credit on that movie whenever that movie comes out, if that movie comes out. But it's strange that they clearly offered it to Goyer and then now it's with Mangold.
Yeah.
I mean, that's strange. That stuff happens in Hollywood all the time, but.
Well, it's strange that if he got far enough to have a full-blown treatment on it, like it wasn't just, hey, let's storyboard some stuff up, and like he definitely wrote something for it, and who knows?
Or you know what?
We could get
maybe
to
go. You finish.
I was gonna say we could get to the point where the Mangold, like whatever turns into the Mangold script, could have a co-writing credit or something like that.
Yeah.
Or,
story credit.
That always happens in Hollywood too, where somebody turns something in and then somebody gives it the full blown treatment, and then it's a co-writing credit or whatever.
There's a whole system I think put in place by the WGA, I believe, that you have to have contributed a certain percentage of the script in order to get a writing credit or a story credit or something like that. Like so
same thing with like EP credits and like the whole nine.
Or it could be a thing that they were taking pitches from a number of writers, and that maybe they got one from David Goyer, but that doesn't mean that they were going to go with it. Maybe they liked James Mangold's pitch better than David Goyer's pitch. Like there's a whole other thing, but anyway, it's interesting to me that this is an idea they've clearly had for a while, and now seemingly are going with James Mangold. So
now, the last part of that quote.
Yeah.
What?
Guillermo del Toro thing?
Yeah. What?
Maybe 2 letters. I can't say much. Maybe 2 letters. J and BB. Is that 3 letters? So, I mean, BB screams BB-8,
Yeah, that's what jumps.
right? I can't
J.
think. Is J
Jabba?
Jana? Jabba? I
There's
can
your
think of
BB too.
Jana. What's that?
There's your BB too.
Oh, just leaving out the A's.
JABBA. Yeah, so that's all he was doing, was just leaving out the A's.
Steve, can you imagine Jabba's Palace as directed by Guillermo del Toro?
No, but I want to.
Yeah, I know. All those like weird creatures and
Yeah,
stuff. Like,
right up his alley.
oh, I didn't think about that.
Yeah. That was the only J that came to my mind.
Well, yeah, Jana is the girl from Rise of Skywalker of the horse people.
Oh, yeah.
Space horse people. But this was 4 years ago. I can't imagine they were writing a Jana spin-off movie. I don't know. Maybe they were. They were throwing a lot of stuff at the wall back then.
2019, yeah.
So this would have been right around Rise of Skywalker coming out. This
Yep.
was 4 years ago. And then J, there is another. I mean, there's Jason Sandula.
Was he even
I don't
a
know.
thing? When did they tie up Rebels?
I don't know.
Like Jaina and Jason Solo in the old EU, but if they were on the new
Yeah.
trilogy by that, it wouldn't have been them.
I mean, it could also be a new character.
Yeah.
That he made up, which I can definitely see him wanting to like make his own thing. Because I can't think of another J, like a significant one.
Jack Porkins. It was going to be the Jack Porkins spinoff. It's a prequel to A New Hope. It's just him flying an X-Wing.
I'd watch that.
So would I. So, yeah.
Jarrus? Jarrus? As in Kanan Jarrus? No, probably not.
Yeah. No, that would have been whatever it ended up being. Now I'm on the Jabba thing. Like Guillermo del Toro Jabba. That would be
that'd be right up his alley.
There. Yeah.
I mean, we've talked before about how George Lucas offered Return of the Jedi to David Lynch.
Would have been a wildly different movie.
Specifically, that Jabba's palace scene would have been insane.
Uh-huh. And if you haven't gone back and seen David Lynch's take on Dune, go do that.
Yeah, or just watch Twin Peaks or something.
Oh yeah, yeah, any of them.
So good.
Yeah. He's a very unique.
He's a very unique filmmaker.
Yes.
You ever seen Mulholland Drive?
I have not.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
That is one hell of a movie, dude. It's like 3 hours long, and you'll only maybe kind of know what happened at the end of it, but goddamn, that is a movie.
Nice.
One of the big, like, truly terrifying scene in that movie. Like, most build up to a jump scare that is like obvious, like you just know that something's going to happen.
Yeah.
And you are still unprepared for it. It's just
Nice.
I won't go into it. But anyway, yeah, hey, Lucasfilm, if you have Guillermo del Toro on board, you should make that movie. I'm just saying. You should call him now.
Right.
And that movie should get made tomorrow. You should greenlight that movie immediately.
It can erase a lot of the wrongs of Book of Boba Fett.
Yeah. BB Boba, Boba, the BB Boba. Is the J like could it be J is John Boyega, an actor's name and not a character's name?
And like they're stuttering over the B in Boyega, so it's BBOYEGA. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe. If it was BB-8 though, who would the J be? Like, we don't know. BB-8's owner is Poe, and Rey is like his best friend.
Mm-hmm.
There's no J that owns BB-8.
Jango Fett.
Jango Fett. There's another J.
Jango and Boba. There you go.
Jango and Boba. Those are 3 letters.
And now that we've gone completely down the Star Wars conspiracy corner.
let's go to something else.
Uh,
Oh man. All right, so we got some comic book news for you people tonight. I mean, we have comic book news a lot of times. It's not like it's the most crazy thing in the world that we have comics news. We have some spidery comics news. Some spidery news. First of all, Steve, did you ever read Ultimate Spider-Man
I did.
20 years ago or whenever that was coming out?
Yeah, that was Jesus Christ.
Isn't that crazy?
Wow.
I spat that number out of my face, and then as I was saying it, I was like, "Oh, I am correct in saying I'm not exaggerating. It was 20 years ago that Ultimate Spider-Man came out."
Wow. Yeah.
Getting old.
It ran from 2000 to 2011.
So more than 20 years ago.
Yep. Yep. So, yeah, that was the original Bendis and Bagley combo
Yep.
on Ultimate Spider-Man.
Reinventing the Marvel Universe with
Yep.
a series called Ultimate Spider-Man. There was Ultimate X-Men. There was The Ultimates that was like an Avengers thing. Like it was just
They did an Ultimate
new
Fantastic Four,
stories.
too.
Yep, Fantastic Four. Just new stories not tied to any pre-existing continuity. It was like they just hit a complete reset button. And if you were buying these Ultimate books, you didn't have to worry about the last 60 years of comic book storytelling. You could just jump right in.
Yep. They did a
And they
whole
weren't
thing. It was a completely new Earth. Instead of 616, it was 1610. So
Yep.
it was a whole new continuity.
Whole new continuity, and they weren't telling you the exact same stories. They were reinventing origins of characters, reinventing takes on characters and stories, and it was it's not dissimilar to what the MCU began as, where they were like, okay, well, we'll take this reference and pull it in, and this reference and pull it into this character, and this version of whatever Iron Man is going to be an amalgamation of this run and
Yep.
this idea from this other thing too. And we're going to present it as a new thing and tell an original story with it. So a lot of stuff like that. It was wildly successful.
Yep. Well, and like
So-
the Toby Spider-Man, the wrestling thing,
yeah.
that was all in Ultimates.
Yep.
That was part of the Ultimate Peter Parker's origin.
Yeah.
We wouldn't have gotten Bonesaw without it.
Right. So they tell you a similar, like I said, they tell you a similar story. They just twist it a little bit.
Yep.
And that's not all the MCU has taken or movies have taken. Like the first time we saw a black Nick Fury that looked like Samuel L. Jackson was
Right,
in
that was in Ultimates. Yep.
All was in Ultimates. And now Nick Fury's black, like all the time.
Yeah.
Like Nick Fury was a old white guy for 60 years.
Yeah. And now he's just Samuel L. Jackson.
And now he's just Samuel L. Jackson all the time. All the time.
And it was that was always the funny thing was it wasn't that Samuel L. Jackson was cast and then like Ultimate Nick Fury became Samuel L. Jackson. Ultimate Nick Fury always looked like Samuel L. Jackson.
Was based on Samuel L. Jackson, from what I remember. Yeah,
they drew the character based on him, and then they also got him to act or to be him in the movies.
Yeah, right. So anyway, guess what? We're getting a new Ultimate Spider-Man series has been announced by Marvel Comics, written by Jonathan Hickman with artist Marco Cicchetto. Hickman's currently wrapping up an Ultimate Invasion storyline. It's actually ending next week. Then it's going to be followed by an Ultimate Universe one-shot, which will give birth to a new Ultimate Marvel Universe. So it looks like they're doing this all over the place, or they're going to start announcing other titles with Ultimate in front of it. Start with Ultimate Spider-Man. It's going to be more details about this and assumedly the entire Ultimate Universe next month at New York Comic-Con, when that is that happens next month.
So Cicchetto, if anyone's not familiar with him, go back and read Zdarsky's Daredevil. He was the artist on that, and through both of the Zdarsky Daredevils, I believe, and through Devil's Reign. He also did Obi-Wan and Anakin with Charles Soule back in the day.
Nice.
I think the Phasma mini might have been
one
of those. But they like his art's great. Like I've always been a fan of what he's been throwing out. So
yeah,
good to see him and Hickman teamed up, because
yeah,
if you want a completely unique and weird ass take on whatever you're doing, Jonathan Hickman is your man.
Yeah, and I'm interested to see what this is going to be like because Jonathan Hickman is known for kind of complex storytelling and
That might be the most understated I've ever heard.
yeah. Um and a title like Ultimate Spider-Man is known for, like we just said, simplicity
Right.
and um very easy to understand and easy to follow storylines. So I'm gonna be interested to see what this is and what style this is, and if he still is going for his, you know, like the books that come with the charts and stuff in the pages, so you can follow along with his brain or whatever. Like I feel like
Yep.
he does that in a lot of his stuff. So
Um,
we shall see.
yeah,
We
so
shall see.
it'll be a continuation coming out of the current mini Ultimate Invasion
Right.
that Hickman's doing with Brian Hitch, colors by Alex Sinclair. But that uh, that basically confirms that it's not going to be another reboot of Ultimates. It's going back to 1610. So we'll see. We'll see what happens there.
Oh wait, so it's going to be in the same.
It'll be in.
Oh, okay. In the pre-established universe, it won't be a new Ultimate Universe.
No, because 1610 was destroyed in Secret Wars.
Oh, a new
So
wrinkle.
I'm
has been
assuming
added.
I copied something wrong somewhere.
Oh, okay.
It's in those. It's somewhere in those numbers, like the
Okay.
6160 something.
I feel like they would be smart to just start over and do the same thing that worked for them 20 years ago.
Right. Well, it's probably
Um,
something like the maker does something stupid, and there's a whole new parallel
Sure.
universe created, and then Hickman does his wild Hickman thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Why not?
So we'll see. I'm sure we'll get more information on that when New York Comic Con hits next month. Another Spider-Man thing that was announced this past week. It's a Spider-Man 2099 series, another 5-part limited series, which will again be written by local boy Steve Orlando. Shout out to Camilla's guy, Steve Orlando. 5-part limited series beginning next year, which will see Spider-Man 2099, or Miguel O'Hara, if you know him from Across the Spider-Verse, fighting future versions of Marvel's monster characters, including Man-Thing, Werewolf by Night, Dracula, Terror, who I'm not familiar with, and just zombies, just regular, throwing some zombies in there as well.
Because why not?
Spider-Man 2099 will be teaming up with 2099 versions of Moon Knight and Blade, also in order to combat these monsters. This sounds dope. I love a good monster fighting thing, monster fighting tale. And I like Spider-Man 2099. And I know that Steve Orlando did a 5-part miniseries over the summer.
Yeah, Dark Genesis,
He's
I
been
believe, right?
Dark Genesis. Yeah, he's been writing Miguel O'Hara for a while, so he's certainly familiar with the character. It's going to be written by Steve Orlando, drawn by Devmalia Paramanak. See? Diving right in with names that I can't pronounce. Michael Dowling, Jason Murr, Chris Campana, and Stefano Raphael. So a multitude of artists. And it's a multitude of artists because these books are coming out weekly. They will be released weekly starting January 3rd. So unless you started on this a year ago, that's a lot of work for one artist to do. So it makes sense that be sharing the load art-wise. But I might pick this up. I like Steve Orlando a lot. He's a good writer. And I like to support the 315 whenever possible. And I like Spider-Man 2099. I mean, Spider-Man, like Peter Parker Spider-Man, isn't somebody that I would really. I know he has teamed up with Blade or whatever and fought vampires, but I don't know. Spider-Man 2099 is more of a, hey, let's fight monsters. He's like a darker character,
Right.
He's a little scarier. So it makes more sense to me for Miguel O'Hara to be teaming up with Moon Knight and Blade and fighting Dracula and fighting the Werewolf by Night and all that kind of stuff. So I think I'm into this. Steve. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it's like you said. I'll probably at least take a look. I think I dabbled with 2099. A lot of it was, I think, coming out of Across the Spider-Verse.
Yes, across.
It's
Yeah.
like which one? Which one? Um,
Yeah.
what came out this year?
Right.
The 2099 Dark Genesis. I think I grabbed after that just for posterity's sake. I think I
Yeah.
might have grabbed one or two and didn't end up reading them, so I stopped pulling them. Not
Nice.
out of me not wanting to read them, but out of me just having too much crap on my plate at the time.
Yeah. Yep. I get that for sure. While we're talking comics, you want to do some reviews? You got a comic to review this week, Steve?
I do, Mike. I do. You want me to lead it off?
I think, did you go first? I don't remember who went first last week.
I think you did.
I think I went first last
Yeah.
week. So you can go first this week.
Well, folks, I have a comic given to me by our good friends over at Funky Town Comics and Toys for a review this week. It is Crusader from Mad Cave Studios, written by Matt Emmons and pencils and drawn by Matt Emmons and pencils or lettering by Andrew Lucan. So
Crusader.
as you can see, it is a picture of a Knight Templar.
Yeah.
In the Crusades.
Like a King Arthur kind of knight looking like.
Which, I mean, makes sense. There's also pictures of, on the cover, some witchcraft and wizardry type stuff going on.
Yeah. Some swords and sorcery going on.
Yep. So the tale is effectively a knight one of the Knights Templar in the Crusades is fighting in the Crusades, finds some guys going through with a ritual sacrifice, slays them, and is transported weirdly to the Beastlands, an alternate dimension that has like orcs and goblins and sort of other stuff going on.
Wow, okay.
It's a weird concept. I don't know. Its writing is not my cup of tea. The art is definitely not my cup of tea.
Ooh.
It's a, I don't want to call it rudimentary art, but
Yeah.
it's clean and minimalistic and not in the best ways.
Sure.
Or at least in ways that I would be drawn to.
Yeah.
It's it's something.
Yeah.
I mean, I read through it. The story has, I guess, some potential where they leave it off, but I don't think I personally would be able to go through another. I wouldn't be grabbing number 2.
Oh, wow. Wow.
So I believe this may be our first negative review on the podcast.
Yeah, or maybe our most negative one.
Yeah, probably.
I think, yeah. Although you did say everything very politely. And it seems like if someone's really into that concept,
Oh yeah,
it might be for somebody else. Just because it wasn't for you doesn't mean that it's not for anybody.
right. And like the artwork, I'm sure there's some people that are drawn to that, but it just didn't click for me.
Art is subjective.
Yeah.
You never know what people are going to like. So yeah, some people are gravitated towards it, some people aren't. The book that I was given to review is a very successful book. It's a book that is on its 5th printing currently. So Jesse asked me to review this because it's just clearly a very popular book. People keep buying it. He keeps ordering it. It's on its 5th printing, which means the first 4 has sold out and the demand is still there. So they keep printing. It's called World Tree. The O in world is a 0, and the E's at the end of tree are 3s. So it looks like some kind of like a computer password kind of thing.
I was going to say, I thought we left Leet Speak back in the early 2000s, but
no, there's a tie-in. This is written by James Tinian IV, a favorite of us here at the Multiverse Report. Art by Fernando Blanco, colors by Jordi Belair, letters by Aditya Bidikar. And I understand why this book is very popular. I don't know how many issues it's up to because I had never read it before. And it's on its 5th printing, so it's possible that, a 2 or a 3 are already out. I think I'm going to read those issues because the way this book starts in a way that is very intriguing. It grabs you immediately. It is much darker than I expected it to be. I don't know what I expected. I just did not know anything about it. It's very violent. It's very not safe for work. it's very kind of disturbing, I would say. And because it's only the first issue, it's difficult for me to describe what the plot is in a way that makes sense. It's seemingly, from what I can guess, it seems that a long time ago, these two tech geniuses built a thing called the Undernet, as opposed to the Internet, some kind of dark web thing, or worse than the dark web. And there are people that seem to maybe be weaponizing it in a way where they can use it to control people. And for instance, this one person has been just murdering everybody that he can see, and has murdered up to 60 people in a day before he was caught by the police.
Are you sure you're not reading Dwellings again?
I'm not reading Dwellings again. And they caught him because he's posting all of his murder spree online, on social media. Passing out, kind of waking up, not knowing what he is, but seemingly he's doing it in service of something that he believes is a greater good or whatever. He's being tracked by a naked, tattooed woman, who will often show up and commit other acts of murder,
As one does.
as one does when you're naked and tattooed.
Yeah.
Um,
Totally makes sense.
And my guess is that the main character is going to end up being the brother of this guy that has been arrested for committing all these murders, because he seems to be. He just finds out during the issue that his brother's been arrested for multiple homicides, is shocked by that, and goes to try to talk to him in jail. That's kind of all I can say. The art is really good. It's very, I don't know, it's expressive. Like, there's just pages of dialogue that are very expressive. The character design is really interesting. The emotions really come across on their faces. It's hard for me to show art examples without showing something that is inappropriate.
Shouldn't be on our stream.
That shouldn't be on the stream. I know we mark this as not being for kids, but there's a lot of either boobs or just violence in this issue. Yep, definitely can't show that page. Nope, definitely can't show that page either. Well, I mean, I showed you that nice page of those people talking to each other, and that
That's
was
about what we got.
that was good, right?
Yeah, and that's so is Jordy Belair doing the art on that, or
Yes, he's doing the colors, I believe. Yeah, he's the colorist.
she?
Oh, she. Sorry, yeah.
Yep. So she's done like Batman and Deadpool and.
Oh yeah, she's all over the place.
Yeah, she's everywhere.
Yeah, yeah, she's big time DC. She does a lot of DC work. Yeah, I can't show any of these pages. But anyway, it's called World Tree. It's on its 5th printing. It's clearly a hot book. The hot writer, hot creative team. Go get it. It's at Funky Town Comics. They have the issue 1 is available on stands right now. 5th printing. It's there.
Yep.
And if you like it, like I said, because on its 5th printing, 2 is probably already out. 3 might already be out. I don't know if I'm going to dive in, or I might just wait till it's in a trade.
The Collected is coming out November 7th.
Oh, perfect.
So if you're looking for that, go in and talk to Jesse and make sure he puts you down for pre-order on one of those.
Yeah,
so I think I'm throwing that in my poll after what you've said.
Yeah, for sure. Like, not only does Funky Town, you can create a pull list of single issues that you want off the shelf, so you're not going to miss anything. You can pick up at any time. They'll also order just graphic novels. One, they have a great selection of graphic novels and trade paperback collections of stuff already. But if they don't have something, they'll order it for you, and they'll come in and let you know when it's there. You can go and pick it up. So if you want to do that with World 3 coming out in early November, go for it, and they'll take care of you down there. So yeah, another banger from James Tynion. That guy is just on fire. Well, Steve, I've missed the last 2 issues of Something Is Killing the Children.
I've missed the last 6.
Okay, yeah, I'm gonna try to go get them this week. But I don't know if they're not there. I might be done, because I don't want to like bend over backwards to try to find these 2 issues or whatever.
That's what
you know what I mean?
I think it was after like 26 or whatever.
Yeah.
I remember reading it and I'm like, I got to get the next one. And then like a month later, I'm like, I should have got the next one.
I know. Yeah. Yep. Anyway, we'll see. We'll see. So yeah, go check out World Tree if what I said sounded interesting to you. I wish I could describe more of it. It's like it's either me spoiling things or showing things that I shouldn't, is inappropriate for me to show.
Fair.
It's very good. You should get it. What else is coming out in your local comic book store this Wednesday? You got Action Comics number 1057. You got Avengers number 5. You got Batman Beyond Neo Gothic number 3. You got Batman Catwoman the Gotham War Red Hood number 1. Batman the Brave and the Bold number 5. And I believe this Brave and the Bold issue features the next installment of the Tom King, Mitch Gerard's story that have been told throughout these issues. They kind of took a break for a couple issues there, but it's back if you've been following that. Betty Page number 4. Go ahead.
News.
Breaking news. Whoa.
Per the Writers Guild of America West, 13 minutes ago, the WGA and AMPTP have reached a tentative agreement. This was made possible by the enduring solidarity of WGA members and extraordinary support of our union siblings who stood with us for over 146 days. More details coming after the contract language is finalized. Tentative agreement reached.
Wow. Wow.
They did it.
That's huge. Tentative
Absolutely.
agreement. Now, I believe that once the details of the agreement are made public to union members, they still have to vote on whether or not they accept it or not.
Yeah. Now, in a situation like this, usually if it's something that they're going public saying they have a tentative agreement, that it's likely to be passed, but it will still have to go to union vote, I believe.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Wow. All right. I cannot wait to see what that agreement looks like. Because I can't believe that the union's going to budge on things like, well, yeah, we'll have AI write scripts, and
Right.
then you can just like, I'm hoping for no AI. I'm hoping for residuals tied to, viewing numbers.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's exciting. That's huge. That's huge. I mean, we had people for forecasting this strike was going to go into January. So having it done before October, that'd be a big deal.
Yeah.
Big deal. And then SAG-AFTRA's up next. Make it right, studios. Figure it out. Wow.
You know what?
What?
Q4 starts October 1st.
Oh, yeah. They were definitely trying to get it done before Q4.
Yeah.
That's a studio thing, for sure. Yeah.
I completely forgot about that. I saw that. I just pulled it up on, because I haven't pulled up Twitter in ages on our Multiverse Report feed.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I'll check and see if anything like popped recently, like breaking news-ish. I was like, oh, all right. 13 minutes ago, they went public with it.
Wow. All right.
So yeah.
Well, congratulations. I
There
hope
we
it's a
go.
good deal. I hope it's a good deal. Hope everyone got what they wanted. I mean, I hope the writers got what they wanted. I don't care if the studios got it.
Right. Also, 10 years ago today, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. premiered on ABC.
Whoa. Also breaking news. All right, cool. Where was I? Back to comic books. Blade number 3. Blade Runner 2039 number 7. Conan the Barbarian number 3. Death of the Venomverse number 5. Detective Comics number 1074. Elvira in Monsterland number 5. Fearless Dawn the Bomb number 2 of 4. Flash number 1. Very excited about that. More on that in a second. Godzilla the War for Humanity number 2. Harley Quinn number 32. Green Arrow number 4. Immortal Thor number 2. Invincible Iron Man number 10. Jean Grey number 2. Marvel Unleashed number 2. Micronauts number 1. Mighty Morphin Power Rangers number 112. Ms. Marvel the New Mutant number 2. My Little Pony number 17. Penguin number 2 from Tom King. Power Girl number 1. Ooh, I didn't know I was getting another number 1. That's exciting. Let's see. Spirit World number 5. Star Trek number 12. Star Trek Day of Blood. Shax's Best Day. Don't know what any of that means. Star Wars High Republic Adventures Trade Paperback Volume 1. Star Wars Hyperspace Stories number 9. Star Wars Dr. Aphra number 36. Star Wars Hyperspace Stories number 9. Did I already say that? I may have. Star Wars The Mandalorian Season 2 number 4. Stuff of Nightmares Red Murder number 1. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Saturday Morning Adventures number 5. The Ribbon Queen number 3. Unstoppable Doom Patrol number 6. Yosaki Yojimbo Ice and Snow number 1. Vampirella Dracula Rage number 2. Void Rivals number 4. Wildcats number 11. X-Men X-Verse Wolverine. I don't know what that means. And X-Men Days of Future Past Doomsday number 3. So a lot of stuff coming out in your local comic book store this week. Steve, are you pulling any of this? Are you excited about anything? Are you reading anything that we should be talking
I'm
about?
still on my X-Mess.
Yeah.
Jean Grey number 2 is definitely going to be on the list.
Yeah, for sure.
Beyond that, I mean, whatever else gets thrown at me, like the Ms. Marvel, I think that's still part of Fall of X.
Yeah.
I would love to get back into Dr. Aphra, but it's,
Yeah, it's a lot.
it is.
It's a lot.
It's definitely going to be a grab the trade of that. I think Invincible Iron Man is actually part of Fall of X at this point. There's some weird tie-ins going on there.
Oh, because Tony Stark is marrying Emma.
Yep. There's a whole weird thing because it's Emma Frost,
That
but
is
not
weird.
Emma Frost. But
Oh, I didn't realize that. You don't have to go into it.
it's Emma Frost pretending to not be Emma Frost
Oh, okay.
because they're persecuting mutants, but she's trying to stay undercover with Tony.
Sure. Okay. All right. I get it. I get it.
That Days of Future Past Doomsday has been very good.
Oh, cool.
And Ultimate Invasion 4, I've got to get to finish off that mini.
Nice. I'm very excited about the new Flash run. Flash number 1. I don't remember the creative team, but I've read a couple reviews of it that say it is like a landmark reinvention of the character in a way, like comparing it to like Batman Year One or something, like a complete reset, like a tonal shift in Flash DC lore and whatever, like a big deal for the character, this Flash number 1, a big reinvention in a way that monumentally shapes his universe or whatever, his world. So that sounds like a big deal to me, and I like that character a lot, so I'm down to read a Flash comic.
You guys got Cy Spurrier from us?
What's that?
I said you guys snagged Cy Spurrier from Marvel?
Yeah, we snag everybody, baby.
It seems like every couple of years it's just like, all right, everybody goes over there. And then
except you snagged
back over here.
The aforementioned Steve Orlando, you snagged from us. He was
true.
a DC boy for a long time. Now he's over with you writing Spider-Man 2099 and Scarlet Witch.
Oh,
that stuff. Guy wrote Justice League, for God's sake. Now he's over at Marvel. Wasting his time.
It's almost like, as long as you write a good story, you can write it anywhere.
Yeah. Seems to be that way. Who would have thought?
Oh, Bryn Mawr, number 3. Was that the one you reviewed that was good, or the one that you've read that was not good?
That's the one I reviewed that somebody told me was the worst comic book they'd ever read in their whole life.
Oh, yeah. And it wasn't nearly as bad as what you thought, or as what you had
I didn't
heard,
think it was that bad, but I thought it was boring. And I feel like the second issue would have to be more interesting than the first issue, because the first issue was just a lot of wheel spinning to get to a reveal at the end of issue 1, that I felt like could have happened halfway through issue 1.
Oh, Turtles Saturday Morning Cartoons are coming out again. Such a great little series.
The Saturday Morning Adventures? Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, number 5 is coming out today, or this week.
This week?
That'll be good. Yeah, and World Tree number 1, 5th printing, number 2, 4th printing, number 3, 3rd printing, and number 4, 2nd printing are all out this week.
Man, yeah, this thing is clearly just on fire.
Second printing of Dark X-Men, which I would not have expected to get a second printing of. Like, it's good, but I figured that's about as niche of a book as you get.
I guess not. It's got X-Men on it, so
I was
people
going to say,
are
us X people are a weird bunch.
Yeah, you'll buy anything.
An entire... See, they lost me, and then they got me back. It's the standard. Like,
back.
they get the hooks back in.
Just when you think you're out, they pull you back in.
Yep.
It's a reference to Godfather 3, a movie I have never seen, although I do know that line.
There you go.
That's it. That's all I got, Steve.
Yeah. No, I think
We filled an episode.
we did. There for another reference, just because I was scrolling down and saw it. There is a comic coming out that is called "Even Dogs Go to Other Worlds: Life in Another World with My Beloved Hound," Volume 2.
Wow.
Cool.
Is that like a reference to all dogs go to heaven, but
That's what
even
I thought
dogs
at
go
first,
to
but
other
it's-
worlds?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just gonna avoid that. I think I'm definitely
Seems
avoiding
wild.
that. Yeah, that's not gonna be a thing.
It's not necessarily the catchiest title of all time.
No, it's a little rambly, but I
Yeah.
think we're getting a little rambly too, so we should probably cut it
I think
out.
so too.
What do you think? Think people should?
I think we did really good for a very light week. I gotta say.
Well, yeah. In
not
your
sure where
in
we're
your
at.
standard, this is a short episode. We're at 122. So
My God. 122?
oh, sorry, 115. 122 is the broadcast.
Okay. All right.
Slightly
That's so much
better.
better. Still, 115 is wild for me.
So
I
if
did
you
not think
really
we would do
like
that.
to hear us ramble, you should like and subscribe and leave a review for
Yeah.
us on either Apple Podcasts or your podcast platform of choice,
Please
or
do.
on YouTube. We'll talk to you if you talk to us. Hell,
That's right.
we'll talk to you no matter what, but it's always more entertaining if you guys talk to us.
We're always going to be here.
So check us out on the socials, Multiverse Report on just about all of them, or the Multiverse Report on most of them, Multiverse Report on Blue Sky. Beyond that, check us out, the Multiverse Report at gmail.com, themultiversereport.com if you want to go the old-fashioned routes of long form and or checking out a website. And we'll be here, Wednesday for Ahsoka?
That's up in the air, actually. I have a thing Wednesday night, so I don't know.
He has a thing. We'll let you know.
It'll either be another day or maybe you can do it with somebody else.
10-4.
Pulling a pinch hitter. See.
We'll figure it out.
Anyway, that's all I got. So until next time, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. And we'll see you in the multiverse.